Chris Gore of Film Threat said that the Acolyte Episode 4 would not be as bad as Episode 3. Chris Gore, you need to see me. This was terrible. No, it didn't break Star Wars canon in the worst ways possible, although characters who should not be alive suddenly started appearing, but it was some of the worst writing we have ever seen grace the small screen in the entire history of entertainment. It's that bad. Folks, we'll break it down, including pronouns, right now.
Oh, I'm so glad I got to watch a muskrat with pronouns sniff a used piece of Wookiee toilet paper to find him in the forest. Oh, I couldn't have lived without that until tonight.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Pro Channel, where we endeavor to explain entertainment, keep you ahead of that culture curve, and we do so with a joy that defies everything the mainstream media wishes that we were. But we're happy, folks, and we're happy that you're here. Consider clicking that like button, and here we go. Take a look at this, a flurry of activity. And no, we're not talking about trying to find new colors to put in the Wikipedia logo. We're talking about the history of Ki-Adi Mundi, and this is a character that appeared yesterday, looking like a wrinkled conehead, perhaps the original inspiration for it. Don't know who came first. Who came first, the conehead or the key? But folks, take a look at this flurry of activity from last night after this character showed up. Now, understand the dating here is using European formatting, but you can see, and also ignore the time zone a little bit here. This is still going on. This is still going on. Look at the flurry of activity. Let's count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Too many. It keeps going, folks. This character had not had a change in a very, very long time. A full page of changes. You can keep going. Why was this happening? Because there was a flurry of activity from the Wikipedia types trying to fix this, because the Acolyte apparently didn't know when this character was supposed to be alive, dead, not born. You get the idea. And because it is so terrible with continuity, here we go. Take a look at this, though. When you've lost Polygon, you have lost the farm, ladies and gentlemen. When Polygon is calling you out for going too far left, look out. And the Acolyte certainly did that. Folks, we'll have the review in just a second. You won't believe the review score. This is by Pete Volk out of Polygon. Dear TV writers, please stop being weird about pronouns. The Acolyte is the latest example of a bizarre trend. In the 4th episode of The Acolyte, Good Twin meets some new Jedi and Jedi adjacent, Jedi parallel, Jedi affiliated friends. One of them is a small otter-like creature named Basil, which I assume only could be named after the character from Austin Powers. But folks, Basil is Dollar Store Rocket Raccoon. You'll hear that in the rest of this video. Dollar Store Rocket Raccoon and Pip, which is also known as merchandising that will not sell. Good Twin's fuzzy robot companion keeps sniffing and beeping at each other, interrupting the mission briefing Good Twin is trying to follow, although none of it matters because there is no rhyme nor reason to anything in this episode. Again, it's the worst writing we've ever seen. I've never in my life seen a show where a villain suddenly looks and goes, you know what? Tired of being a villain. You change. And that's it. That's it. Tired of murdering people. After Good Twin approaches Jackie, who is, we'll say, exposition sponge, for an awkward exchange, all too familiar to people of a certain type watching television in the last years, Good Twin says, who is that? Exposition sponge says, that's Basil, Dollar Store Rocket. We couldn't afford better. Good Twin says, is he? Or they? Or they? With us? This is the latest example of what I'm going to call the globby problem, expertly parodied on the other two. And it keeps going, folks. Listen, what this means is that even Polygon has seen the writing on the wall. Even Polygon! It's going to be Kotaku next. Alyssa Mercanti's going to be out there slamming the Acolyte for going too far left. That's what kind of world we live in with Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland. The crazies are calling them out for going too far. They've had enough. Good grief. Folks, let's bring on the panel. We've got the review. It's unbelievably bad. This is unbelievably bad writing in every possible way. This is unbelievably bad cinematography in every possible way. Here's the panel. This is the worst episode in the Acolyte, and I want to put a little star by it, a little asterisk, okay? It doesn't retcon the original movies. It doesn't change canon in the same way. But in terms of the quality of an episode, gentlemen, what kind of hot garbage did we just watch? We literally sat and watched a gopher dog man sniff his way to a dead Wookiee.
I'm not sure if the gopher can be classified as a man or not.
It cannot. It's a they them.
Yep.
I have never seen any show, no matter how woke it has been. I have never seen any show make a scene, like literally an entire scene, and its only purpose is to use a pronoun in the most obvious, like Saturday morning cartoon, Scooby-Doo just found a clue kind of way of we've done this now for 90 seconds, and here's the payoff. I said a plural pronoun for the gopher dog.
And they didn't do it just once. They did it
garbage. Good grief, John. What did we just watch? This is a new low. Gosh, that was bad.
It was bad, but I will say, like, there was actually one thing that did, like, there was one positive for me.
Okay.
That was Yord's advice to Osha. I actually thought that was actually legitimately well written, something you would expect from Star Wars, but everything else was just trash, absolute trash.
Oh my gosh. The idea that you would write an episode where your main two characters look and act the same, and both of them are given a side character to go on the quest with them, and both of the side characters are just exposition sponges. I mean, you talk about terrible writing. You throw away the idea of show it, don't explain it. Everything in this episode was explained, and there was one shot in particular, John, where we were watching it, and I swear I thought if a dwarf with a battle axe comes out of the background right now, it's going to look more like it fits in this scene than Star Wars. If an elf comes out with a bow and arrow, I'm going to feel like I'm in that world better. This was bizarre. This was a long trek with very little in it. And from a writing standpoint, this has got to be the worst. I will also say, John, that there were times when, I hate to say this, there were times when it was difficult to understand the dialogue. Li Zhongjae.
I turned the captions on.
Yeah, but without the captions, it was tough sometimes. He learned English for this role. He is to be commended. He's given it all he's got. But my gosh, what an awful piece of trash episode. I think it's worse than episode 3, not in terms of destroying Star Wars, but in terms of just like as a piece of entertainment. This could have come from a 5-year-old. And nepotism is what we call the character who's painted in green makeup, who is Leslie Headland's wife. Oh my gosh, you talk about some overacting. I mean, this is just terrible stuff. But Lorna, I want to welcome you to the show. You have not seen the episode. You're representing the 90% of the audience out there choosing not to see this. And Lorne, we're gonna have quite the journey for you on this one. And
I get more baffled as we go along. So I sense that that's not going to change this week.
Lauren, have you ever watched a badger, gopher, dog character who apparently goes with a plural pronoun, sniff out, in a jungle planet, take off? I mean, that was so weird. I mean, I'm still baffled by what we just watched.
They had lost him again, and they had never lost him before that. Lost him
bad.
again!
It's like Scrappy Doo is running through the jungles of World of Warcraft. All right. Well, before we keep going, we've got a panelist who you all love truly, and I'm sure he loved this episode as much as we did. X-Wing, welcome to the show again, X-Wing, the after party. My friend, I'm saying that this is worse than episode 3. I'm not saying that it's worse in terms of destroying Star Wars. Episode 3 was, I mean, I don't know how you could, I mean, that was urinating on the corpse of it. But X-Wing, this was worse in terms of writing. This was the product of a 4-year-old in every way.
I love watching somebody get to spend $20 million in Star Wars for what I could have done for probably about $5,000.
So
I don't see.
Absolutely.
Really could be worse.
Would you call this a filler episode? Did nothing happen in it, or
It has a giant cliffhanger at the end, and that's it.
Yeah, it almost doesn't warrant
The last
discussion.
2 minutes are literally the only point of the episode.
Yeah.
You could skip the entire rest of the episode. There's no point in it. You
what's
learn
the
nothing new,
cliffhanger?
by the
What's-
way.
what-
There's not a
what's going
single.
on?
There's not a single thing that we learn in the entire episode. It's garbage.
There's just confirmation based on an assumption.
They're trying to act like they're subtle, but they're as subtle as a herd of elephants as to who the Sith is. They're making it painfully obvious. We all know exactly who it is. Like, what kind of, I'm a bumbling idiot. Like, I'm sure it's not that guy.
It's
for
literally
sure.
the Jar Jar meme. They've literally taken the
Yeah.
Jar Jar meme and made it real. It's like
It's like a
joke.
fart in an elevator with one person in it. Like nobody's confused
the Merrick
about
character?
what just happened.
And then they put Joe Biden in there. Luckily, that thing was just sniffing all over the place.
That's got to be the dumbest thing. X-Wing, have you ever seen a show? Have you ever seen a show? John's having a good laugh at Joe Biden running through the jungles of World of Warcraft. X-Wing, have you ever seen a show that actually spends an entire scene and the scene's only purpose is to use a pronoun to shock the audience? You ever seen anything like this? Not even Doctor Who's this bad.
They do this in Marvel Comics now. Sorry, I know it's
just,
right.
No,
Like in
no,
the comics, though,
I
right?
don't even know what to say. Like, it's so crappy, it almost doesn't warrant talking about. That's kind of where my brain's at. Like, why? I know we have to talk about it, but it's like there's nothing of substance here. They're like, oh well, we got a beaver. Is he or they? Oh my god, dude!
All right, and
to
the
him
beaver.
as the Basil, and then Yord's like,
Yes.
no, his name is just it's just Basil.
So we have a beaver, badger, gopher, bloodhound character who needs specific pronouns used, but oh, by the way, is some sort of pet in some bizarre way too. He's omniscient, or not omniscient. He's sentient like a human, but they treat him like a dog. All right, let's run through the recap here. And folks, we are using the code words that are appropriate for these characters because they deserve it. Okay, so here's what happens. We find out that not Chewbacca is on a planet that looks like Central America. And then we find out that nepotism...
Well, hold on. He has
Go ahead.
his house is full of the tattoos that are on May's head.
Yeah.
Okay, yep. And then nepotism is mad at off-brand Qui-Gon Jinn because he never told her that Bad Twin might have lived. And we have a fight, sort of, but it's really not a fight. It's just a shouting match. It's like an angry marriage. And then Good Twin is asked to go along with off-brand Qui-Gon Jinn. They get on a ship that we see all of 2 seconds of. They get off in Central America. In Central America, which, by the way, looks exactly like Central America, except off in the distance, there are weird-looking trees, but only in one direction because budget.
Right.
In Central America, we get both Bad Twin and Good Twin on their own quest with their own exposition sponges. It is the Grand Forehead. What do we call the little blonde-haired kid? Jedi chopper pilot. I forget what we called her, but anyway, she's exposition sponge number 1, and then the dude from the bar who has no real purpose. He is exposition number 2. Out of the clear blue, Bad Twin decides to be good again for no reason.
What
Like,
a
just-
turn of events!
Yeah, like there's nothing that happens to make her do it. She just suddenly says, "Hey, I want to be good," and then she hangs.
tired.
She hangs exposition guy by his feet and leaves him to die because she's good now. And that makes sense in the world of Leslie Headland. Meanwhile, Good Twin and the Jedi, they're walking through the forest, and repeatedly we get a shot of foliage and them all coming out of the foliage at once to come into frame. And we do that about a dozen times. And during one of those walk through foliage and come to the forefront of the screen, they wake up some bad bugs. And for once I thought, oh, thank heavens. Thank whoever wrote this, thank you. We're going to get something. Like, I don't even care at this point. If it's bugs, if we have to fight the bugs, you can bring out the spider from Lord of the Rings. I don't care anymore. Something's going to happen. I'm so sick of talking. And what did we get? A single bug beetle.
Zapper. It's a bug
came
zapper.
flying,
Lightsabers
came
are bug
flying at
zappers now.
off-brand,
Yeah.
flying at off-brand Qui-Gon Jinn, and instead of all of the bugs coming off the trees and us getting something, off-brand Qui-Gon Jinn bug zapped the beetle with a lightsaber. It was over in 0.5 seconds, and that was it.
The bug literally ran into the lightsaber and killed itself because it's
But
a bug
Good
zapper.
Twin,
It's literally
but
a
Good
bug
Twin
zapper.
said that she could sense the bug, and so that means she's got the Force again. This writing,
Right.
I swear,
She
it's
forced.
nauseating to
She
even
threaded.
recap this episode.
Yeah,
It's
she
She
nauseating.
didn't.
So then,
She didn't have
then
the
she
Force
has
before.
oh yeah,
wasn't-
she's a
she wasn't
Jedi
feeling it.
before.
She wasn't able
so now
to like
she's-
move her lightsaber.
She lost it. She
coming
Kenobi'd
back.
and lost it, and now she's getting it back.
Okay.
Which is
Because
stupid. It's like it's the whole Last Jedi cutting yourself off from the Force BS.
but she could sense the bug, and the bug was zapped, and now she has Lauren. If you want to know bad writing, if you want to understand just how bad this is, Good Twin, after watching off-brand Qui-Gon dash the bug in half, that is a deeply moving moment for her, and so she shares with Exposition Sponge all of her deep feelings about her long-lost evil twin because she's seen death in her life. Because to both of them,
This was so
slicing that
cringe.
bug in half was a huge moment. Guys,
It was
before
so
we go
cringe.
any further, have I missed anything of importance in this episode that I think is it's awful? I mean,
The-
it just hurts
like,
to even talk about it.
I think they use miles. She uses miles to determine the location of the Wookiee's house.
That's normal in Star
yeah,
Wars.
she's like it's 10 miles east or something.
They,
Yeah,
they
and
usually-
then is that
they
normal?
didn't use
I don't
clicks.
remember.
No,
Yeah, they
clicks
didn't
is
use
the.
clicks. I always thought it was clicks, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I thought miles was weird that they actually used miles. And then I actually liked Yord's advice. That was like the only thing I thought was actually decent writing. He gives Osha
Tell the
good
audience
advice
what he
to
said.
actually- I didn't like write it down specifically, but he basically gives her advice that she might not actually be on this journey to face her sister. She's probably there to face herself and kind of maybe heal the wound that is festering within her. And I actually thought that was well written and makes sense from a Jedi. That would be something that like
There was
Yoda would
some-
say, or
There was
Obi-Wan
some
would say
dialogue
was
that I really
was
liked in
actually well
the
written.
episode too.
X-Wing,
there's
what
the
what
one
did you
part-
like in the episode?
There's the one part where the local in the spaceport of the completely uninhabited planet says, "Hey, the Wookiee
that was
went to live in the forest."
That was
Yeah,
Harvey
and,
Weinstein.
and then the Jedi Master turns around and goes, "He's in there." Like, yeah, dude, he just said that. And then
X-Wing, that was Harvey Weinstein. As soon as I saw that character, I said,
That was terrible.
"That's Harvey."
Yeah.
From now on, that's Harvey.
and
And
then
the forest is like dark side. It's literally the cave on Dagobah.
And then when the hundreds of extremely dangerous bugs wrapped around the trees, one decides to attack, Soul goes, "Stand down! I got this."
I feel
What
so
are we
bad for
watching
Alicia
here?
J. Okay,
What are
so
we
that takes
watching?
us then. That takes us to one of the most cringy things ever. When they get to the
Yes.
finale,
This
and
was so bad.
like as soon as Flashlight Boy turns to Good Twin and says, "Stay in the back," you knew at that point you were like, okay, something's going to happen by being in the back, because when it's in all caps, I sense foreshadowing from Leslie Headland. Stay in the back. Okay, got it. Okay. Guess what, folks? Something happens in the back. And the big reveal is that not Chewbacca is already dead. No stabby wounds, no blood, no nothing. He's just snoozing in his chair in a forever RIP. Bad Twin is in there.
He's been slashed.
Yeah,
Oh,
there's a
Where was he
lightsaber
slashed?
right
Through
across
the
the
chest,
chest.
right
There
across
was a
the
big
chest.
lightsaber wound.
Yeah.
Still
I couldn't even see it.
smoldering.
Ooh, gross. Okay, so we've got burnt dog hair. All right,
Yeah.
so then, folks, just as expected, not Darth Vader, not Kylo Ren, feminine form,
Well,
but probably
you
a
forgot.
dude.
You
Please,
forgot
please.
Yord tells you forgot Yord tells May to surrender after she had just told not Sith Master that she was going to surrender to Kalnaka.
Oh,
She
yeah.
literally just stays in the house and decides not to surrender.
Right.
Like,
Well,
literally stands
but
there and
that
watches.
made sense, John, because plot.
I
Exactly.
guess because she's now in total fear of not Sith Lord who's there.
Okay, let's just stop for a minute. Can we just say, guys, for those of you not understanding how bad this episode was, In this episode, Bad Twin decides to become good for no reason whatsoever.
In like
She
30
has
seconds, too.
personal epiphany that is unseen, unwitnessed. It is like if you were watching Aladdin. Everybody hang with me. It's like if you were watching Aladdin, and in the middle of the movie, Jafar just goes, you know what? I think I'm going to be good now. It is like if Ursula was singing to Ariel and suddenly stopped in the middle of Poor Unfortunate Souls and said, nah, actually, I'm gonna help you out. I like you a lot.
Yep.
It's like
John,
when Jafar's actually the giant snake, and then he all of a sudden is like, okay, I'm good. You win.
Yeah, he stops. He's like, you know, I'm actually being kind of a prick here. I think I'm gonna slither back into being my normal self and help you guys.
You guys are not exaggerating here. She literally decides just to be good with no impetus in the plot.
They stopped for like 10 seconds. They stopped for 10 seconds in the woods, and the shop trader guy goes to get her water, and then when he comes back, she's now trapped him and is like, you know what? I don't have to do this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to turn myself in. That's what I'm going to do.
She tied him up in a tree. She put a trap on the ground and like snags him up, and he's hanging in a tree. And she's like, my sister's alive now, so I'm good. So I'm going to go turn myself in.
So is that what it is? Is that now that she's able to touch the Force, is that what it is? That she senses her sister?
No, she just says her sister is alive now, so I'm going to go turn myself in and reveal who the Sith is.
Yeah.
After not Qui-Gon already sucked her brain out and figured out that she doesn't know who the Sith is anyways.
You guys know what that was? That was the Last Jedi Snoke death scene, except without any action whatsoever. That was the same equivalent. We had the same kind of, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, except with zero drama, zero excitement, and total exposition on it. That's what we had. An instant character reversal of everything we know about them with not a single leading up to impetus, nothing, nada, just, hey, I'm good now. See ya.
Yeah.
All right.
The Last Jedi would be a palate cleanse, if I'm being completely honest.
So I've got a question. I want you, leaving the comedic stuff aside, I want you to be as objective as you can. The people that like this show, how are they going to react to it? Are they also going to see this as filler? Are they going to see these as plot holes? How do you expect them to respond?
Oh, lightsabers! Oh, did you see that Force push?
She is cooking. She is cooking right now, and we have no idea what's coming, but she is cooking right now. That's what they're going to say.
Well, Lauren, based on the way they're handling this so far, this out of the root, folks will be coming to this later in the show. Rosis are review bombing Black Lead Star Wars series, The Acolyte, despite high ratings from real critics. I think that it's all out war starting tomorrow. That's what I think. I think that's how this is going to go. This was the worst episode. This is the worst writing I've ever seen in Star Wars. But it's going to be all out war starting tomorrow, I think, from the mainstream media. Is that anybody disagree on that one?
Anybody worth their salt?
Have we not been at war for like 10 years now?
Yeah.
yes. But we're back to Last Jedi. I mean, they're going to call the 90% every name in the book.
Yeah. Well, part of the reason that I asked the question is because I've never seen any Star Wars show rated as badly as this one. So obviously there's a very small minority that are liking this. And so I'm just, the way you're talking about it, I'm getting the impression the worst sin of this thing, besides the nonsensical attitude change, is that it was just boring. Yes. That it just bored you to death. And so it sounds to me like it's a typical filler episode like we've had in most of the other series.
I literally took 0 notes until they got to the Central American planet, because it's just nothing happens at all.
Nothing happens.
So, all right, folks, welcome aboard, both Lorena Creole and Michelle of Force of Light. Happy to have both of you here with us. John, I'm going to drop you to the bottom, put Michelle at the top, and we'll move John right there. Okay, here we go. Now we've got things ordered just the right way. Lorena, you were saying something in the background before you came on the show, and I absolutely love your name. I'm going to get rid of Badger Gopher dog man. Lorena, what are we calling the little sniffer? What is his name?
The little sniffer, known as Basil, will forever now be known as Dollar Store Rocket Raccoon.
It's perfect. It's perfect. Dollar Store Rocket is the new name. From here on out, it shall be. All right.
I think he's a ripoff from the Great Mouse Detective too.
Probably. That's about the level that this show would go to find its source material. All right, Lorena, let's start off with you. We've heard the opinions of both John and X-Wing. Lauren has not seen it. He's here to give us reference when it comes to Star Wars lore and how this connects. Lorena, you've seen the episode. I'm sorry for that. I hope you are not too heavily victimized. Tell us what you thought of it.
One, I really should not have watched it without wine. I don't know.
This made it better.
Oh Lord, this is just awful TV, awful television. Period. I mean, it's a given. It's awful Star Wars, but just awful TV. I do not care about any of these characters except for Master Soul, and that's because that's played by Jae Jung Lee, and I feel so bad for him to just be in this absolute just dog crap of a show.
Lorena, are you telling me you don't like it when characters suddenly switch their allegiance for no given reason out of the blue and talk about it for 5 minutes, and we're just you didn't enjoy Bad Twin suddenly deciding to join good side, just no reason?
No, I didn't enjoy Bad Twin being described as there is good in her. I said, did you really just freaking go there? And I'm a normie, okay? So I immediately picked up on that. I'm like, that's what you're going to do. It was just ridiculous.
But Lorena,
I don't care about these characters.
The last time these characters were around Bad Twin, she was literally trying to murder her sister for no given reason, and maybe killed everyone in her little coven. So clearly there's some good in her. Clearly, they would say that.
Yeah, the fact that people didn't know she was a pyromaniac, I don't buy that.
The justification is magnificent too. I'm going to turn myself in, and they said they'll put you in, they'll lock you up. And she goes, not if I tell them who the Sith is. You just killed 2 Jedi. You think if you give a name, you're just going to be like good to go? Everything's kosher now?
Remember also that Soul used brain suck or vacuum suck and discovered that she doesn't know who the identity of the Sith is anyways.
Yeah.
You know what, John?
Now, commence Operation Vacuum Suck. 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 Suck.
All right. Speaking of just how bad this was, Michelle, I said that this is worse than Episode 3. Not in terms of destroying Star Wars. But in terms of writing, in terms of what, entertainment is, at least Episode 3 tried to do something. I mean, it turned out to be excrement, but at least it was attempting to make something come into this world. I don't know what this was for. What did we just watch?
Yeah, well, in fact, I just recorded my review that I'm going to be putting out tomorrow. And two things I will say that funny, it's been addressed now since I've been on in this short time. What you just said. Okay, so we have 8 episodes of something. How? I mean, we know how. I mean, it's the same reason how we get the crap you're just talking about in the dialogue that we're getting in the show that is so bad. But how in 8 episodes? This episode was like 28 minutes. How can you not come up with a compelling story? I know I always go to it because I love Stranger Things. But even in these setup episodes of Stranger Things, you're interested. Like it's going somewhere. Something's happening. Like as far as with the characters and the story that's being built. Like in this, like very little actually happened in this episode. Did it bother you that the Wookiee's already dead? When not Chewbacca died off screen again? Did you shed a tear? Did you care? I didn't even notice he died.
You thought he was just taking
when did that happen? How like they kind of? I noticed like the kind of the sad music, and he kind of walked off. Like who killed him?
He's in the chair. He has a slash mark, and then May comes in and says that sees it and says like, "Oh, my master's already here," and then she like hides
If
in the
only.
I show up.
If only she had walked in, taken a sniff, and been like, "Smells like burnt dog hair," I would have said, "Okay, I'm back on board with this." All right, Michelle, I want to keep coming back to you on what you think of this. Let's bring in Jonas quickly to join the panel. Jonas, sorry to have made you watch this, but you're here with us now. Michelle, continue on, please, with your thoughts on episode 4.
Yeah, and then the other thing, Lorena's already hit on it. Okay, you do not. A human being, can people who have murdered get redeemed? Absolutely, I believe that. It's happened many times in life. But does someone murder 2 people and like the next day be like, you know what? I tried that murder thing. I don't really think it's for me. And I'm going to be good now. Like that's just not how life works.
She did the Forrest Gump. I'm pretty tired. I think I'll go home now.
That is perfect. That's it. She turned and said, I think I'm going to be good now.
Can we also point out that if she's going to join the Jedi and turn herself over to the Jedi, that pretty much confirms that she was the one that did it in whatever happened in episode 3.
Right.
Which is, by the way, the most boring possible answer for episode 3.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't think that confirms that. I think it's just that she's turning herself over after killing the 2 and then going to reveal the Sith.
I still, guys, I can't get over what X-Wing said. Yeah, I'm kind of tired of being bad now. I think I'm going to be good.
Well, they didn't set up her motivation for wanting to do this, so her turning around and saying she doesn't want to do this makes no sense either.
No.
There's no one in the show that has any motivation whatsoever other than he or they that wanted to sniff whoever's underwear and find them.
Yeah.
That's Dollar Store Rocket. That came from Lorena Jonas, and it shall stay forever. Dollar Store Rocket Raccoon.
The whole turn is like we've seen it work. Like obviously Vader is like the most evil person ever, and he clearly has like the turn of heart. But like there's stuff that builds up to it. You literally have 2 movies, and Empire Strikes Back towards the end, and then obviously almost all of Return of the Jedi. You have like the really good discussion with Luke and Vader on the Forest Moon of Endor before they even go back up into the Death Star. Then you have Luke still trying to like reach him in the battle against Vader when they were like actually fighting each other before he loses his control. Like there's a ton of buildup to the point where he eventually does indeed turn and does that. There's nothing here. Like so,
and an entire prophecy that says he'll bring balance to the Force eventually, right?
Exactly. And kind of something. Oh, I'm sorry, Michelle.
Feel free to go ahead.
I was going to say, and to tag on to what John was saying. We had 2 films to form an emotional bond to Darth Vader. When he becomes the villain you care about, you hate him. You hate that you care that you hate him, but you're so now endeared to this character. That's why we actually cared about what happened to him. That's why a lot of us felt like, you know, what do you mean, Luke, you can turn him? I don't know. But then when that redemption happens, that's the big payoff for us. And we buy into that. There's nothing that is endearing about any of these characters. We have no emotional connection to them. We don't even care what happens to them because they haven't been developed enough for us to even care. And they should have did that in episode 1. And obviously they failed miserably with that.
Right, there should have at least even been at least put one scene where there's some kind of internal conflict where she's having like this debate within herself about like her sister being alive and how that changes everything. Instead, it's just like snap of the fingers. It's over.
All right, folks, it's Valiant Renegade joining us. Valiant, you've suffered through episode 4. Marvin says it's the worst thing he's ever watched in his life. I found it to be absolutely atrocious, worse than episode 3. Did not destroy canon, but I've never seen anything so boring and so mind-numbingly stupid. Share with us your thoughts about how it could possibly get worse than this.
Face
says it all. The witches are back. Somehow they returned.
The witches are dead. This show was a rotting pile of
I feel like we're in that
And
Chevy
a
Chase
side
part
of mayonnaise and fried wontons. I don't know what I just watched. I don't know what that was, but it was terrible. And I'm so glad I have the Disney Plus through Spectrum that's quote-unquote free, because I got to watch the commercials, which were the best part of the show. Honestly, the thing I enjoyed the most about Acolyte Episode 4 was watching Arnold Schwarzenegger do State Farm commercials with riffs on Predator and Terminator. That was it. That was the joy of the episode. Nothing in this show is set up. They want to try to inject all of these plot twists and, oh, didn't see that one. Nothing is set up to where anything has any gravity whatsoever.
Wait a minute.
It
Wait
is
a minute.
so
Valiant,
bad.
Are you telling me that Good Twin and
this
Dwight
is one
Schrute
thing.
Chitara, that this didn't really get you just titillated as to how this might go, the romance, the
This
budding
is
romance? This
stupid.
didn't do it for you?
I'll give all the details tomorrow in the reaction video that I'll put out. Jonas was there with me, and I'll go through that. I will say this. The thing I find the most offensive about this whole show is, quite honestly, the piss poor cinematography in this. And I mean piss poor. I have never been so upset watching every moment in this show from a writing, acting, delivery standpoint is missed. It's just whiffed. Everything is a strike. I mean, it's terrible. And when you get to the part finally, at the culmination of the halfway point of this show, at the end of episode 4, when we get a reveal of the big bad, and all we get is a lazy-ass medium shot of this 5'4" halfway midget walking up in this stupid mask. And that's it. I'm sitting there thinking, after we had a shot of this figure lowering in the background out of focus in the trees, I'm like, okay, I like this. We've got a forward focus. It's on OSHA. We see this figure coming down behind her out of focus in the trees, and then it just cuts to this boring shot of this figure walking up that is no taller than OSHA. There should have been at least a half a dozen, if not a dozen, different cinematic cut shots in there. Have that figure walking out. We're supposed to be terrified of this figure. This is the big bad. This is the Sith Lord, right? We should have had a shot coming out of the shadows with a side light, maybe at a 75-degree angle, coming down, glinting off that silver work on the mask, the blood or the red on the mask, something that would cut back and forth, cut down to the steps of the feet on the forest floor, come back up, slow reveal, slowly reveal this, and then give us something. But this was a dead, nothing, medium shot. This was terrible. This was just awful. And this is a show that didn't have the budget of a CW show, but by God, it sure as hell looked like one. $200 million for this dog trash. I mean,
oh, come on, Valiant, look at that.
Writing out for a second.
Look at that face. That's a face that $50 million can't pay for the joy that face gives you. Look at little Bay.
This show is so bad that not only is the writing bad, the acting is bad, everybody's a plank of wood, except maybe in some cases. And look, all due respect to Lee Jung-jae working with what he was given for this show. The man can't speak a word of English, and he's delivering it orders of magnitude harder than everybody else consistently. I don't know how, but the man is damn good. Give him credit for that. But visually, this show is offensive. Visually, this show is lazy. It is just lazy. I don't know if it's the issue of the cinematographers don't know what they're doing, or if this is what they were just told to do because, hey, we don't want to spend the money actually filming it. We just wanted to spend $50 million building these cheap-looking sets and props because that's what they did. right? That was the last financial return for Blue Stockings Limited in the UK, ended 10 days before cameras started rolling, and they had already spent $50 million. That was renting Shinfield Studios, leasing the space, building the sets inside the soundstage, building the sets outside the soundstage on an exterior backlot, building props, costumes, getting the script done, booking the actors and everything else. Probably $10 million of that, if I know Disney, was based in 5-star hotels in downtown London and a $5 million catering bill. This is where they piss money away. But no, we can't actually get quality. And what really drives me nuts is 2 nights ago, I watched the season premiere of House of the Dragon, which, strangely enough, also cost about $20 million an episode. And look at that. Look at that. Look at what $20 million gets you over at Warner Brothers with a Game of Thrones prequel versus this, pardon my French, shit.
You know, Valiant, I just did an entire...
You might not know what it means.
I'm
Valiant,
done.
I just did a whole video about the fact that House of the Dragon eviscerates their defense for this show, where they're like, oh, if you don't like it, you're just a racist, sexist, homophobe. And everybody loves House of the Dragon, and that's 2 female leads. It's a whole lot gayer than this. And, you know, there's minorities everywhere. So what's the excuse there?
Oh, I'm so glad I got to watch a muskrat with pronouns sniff a used piece of Wookiee toilet paper to find him in the forest. Oh, I couldn't have lived without that until tonight.
Fine. All right, guys, it's time now. We need to know what your numerical score, scale of 0 to 10. 0 is Garbage Pail Kids, Rainbow Bride and the Star Stealer, worst thing you've ever seen. 10 is Citizen Kane. 10 is The Godfather. 10 is a masterpiece. John, we'll start with you, and then we'll work our way around counterclockwise up to me. John, what do you give episode 4 for The Acolyte? And if you could, John, if you can remember this, tell the folks out there what you gave the first 3 episodes so that we can have a comparison.
So I think I gave the first 2 episodes a 2 or a 3. I gave the 3rd episode a 1 because they made something.
It's like a star for a ball of Play-Doh when you ask them to mold something. Well, you rolled it in a ball. Good job.
So I'll probably give this one a 1 as well, just because I actually found something positive to like about this one. Was like the brief dialogue between Yord and Good Twin about her facing herself, and that's actually like why Soul brought her there. It seemed very Jedi-esque, and it was like the only thing that felt Star Wars in the entire show.
All right, so let's get this straight. The first 2 you gave a 3. The 3rd episode you gave a 1, and you're giving this one a 1. Which means currently you have given this show a 1.3 on average out of 10.
Yes.
And you're not doing that to be a flamethrower or bombastic. Legitimately, this show is so bad that John Trent, who has been doing this for many years, says it's right now a 1.3 out of 10. Fair?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't blame you. Jonas, what do you say?
I think the first 2 episodes I rated a 5 for the production design, things like that. Well, I think the episode 3, I rated a 4.
That didn't age very well, did it?
No, it really didn't. And there's essentially nothing, and there's no new production design in this. There's really nothing. So I'm going down to like a 3, and that's a very generous 3.
So you're at a 3.5.
What are the positives that give it a 3?
Okay, maybe I need to make this even lower.
Jonas, you're too kind. You're too kind. We'll come back to you and see if you've recalibrated.
The music, and I don't know.
I didn't even notice.
I'm not at a 1 yet. It's so bland the entire way through. Like there's so many that below a 6 is already a failing grade, anyways.
Marvin, what say you?
So I wasn't with you guys for the first week, but if I were to rate the first 2 episodes, I would probably give it a 2. Just because each one had, there was something there, maybe so 1 and 1 makes 2. Last week I gave it a 0, and this week it is a solid 0.0.
Oh wow, you gave it the absolute lowest. So
Yes.
this is as bad as it gets, is what you're saying.
Because look, I don't even care if it's bad. This was just boring. It was nothing. It was a void.
Well, let me say this, Marvin. As we're getting ready to finish our review of this, I want to bring on someone new to the panel. Folks, please welcome to the Pro Show to finish out our comments on the Acolyte episode 4, Retro Nerd Girl. Retro, how are you?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Retro, did you have a chance to see the Acolyte episode 4 yet?
Yes, I did. Right just before this.
My condolences.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Retro. We're giving it a numerical score, 0 to 10. Where would you rate this? 0 is the worst thing you've ever seen in your life. 10 is the most grand movie you can imagine. Where do you put this one for episode 4?
I would put it in a maybe 5.5, and I know that's really a little high, but I'll give it a 5.5. It's one of the better episodes, even though it's really, really boring.
Retro, tell us what you liked about the episode, because this is fascinating. We're a bunch of dudes on here, and you may have some insight into this that we're not seeing in terms of what might drive some viewership of the Acolyte. So what are you liking in the episode?
It's all the technical stuff to do with filmmaking that is like the base level for Star Wars. I mean, if you're talking about like what a Star Wars production should really have, it should really have a 7. Just at the base level. The story is just horrible. I mean, I don't want to pile on, but it is really, really dense and boring, and the dialogue is just so bad. I hope that these actors, I've never seen them in anything else. Some of these people, and so I'm not sure if they're really bad actors, or if it's just the way the dialogue is set up and how they're being directed and how they're being edited. So those are just some things that really stand out to me. But otherwise, as far as a functioning narrative, it's really below what it should be. It should, especially Star Wars, it should be at a 7 at least.
So Retro, you sound like Jonas. You have a similar review to him. Not a lot of positive, but I think you're both very kind on your numerical rating. I'm going to give my score here, and Retro, don't run away from the channel, okay? Don't be afraid, because I'm going to be very honest with this one. So for the first 2 episodes, I rated them a 3 out of 10. I found them to be kind of bland and dull, but at the same time, the music was good, and we had to give some credit to the people in charge of the lighting. The HDR was fantastic. And overall, this channel gave the first 2 episodes a 4 out of 10. Then the next episode came that retconned the Force, introduced lesbian witches, had Immaculate Conception, and sort of did away with Anakin's storyline, which is the central path for the entire first 6 films. And so we were pretty darn rough on that. I think I gave it a 1 out of 10, and ultimately it was scored a 1.5. This one, folks, I'm here to tell you, I just, it was like eating lukewarm, bland oatmeal. It was food, sort of, but there was no reason to have to endure this. We could have had the last 5 minutes, and you can cut the rest of the episode out. So my thought on this one is I'm going to give it a 1 out of 10. I could go lower. I could go to a 0.5. I could go to the 0 that Marvin gave it. I'm going to give it a 1 because it wasn't so painful that, I mean, I've seen some films that were actually literally painful. This wasn't there. There was a movie, for example, that I went and saw 7 or 8 years ago, and it was this movie out of Russia that they tried to make a first-person movie. And the entire movie, you guys might remember. Hardcore Henry. Gosh, that was awful. So Hardcore Henry, that would be worse than this. But that's the kind of stuff I have to remember back to go, what was worse? So
somebody said The Room was a 0, but The Room still has entertainment value. But that's in so bad it's good. For me, this doesn't get to that area where the performances are so bad that you start laughing at them. They're just so flat. Like people are saying things that if you said them, you would choke up and cry, or maybe there would be some sense behind them. But I mean, bless her heart, I think this actress has only done well. She's probably worked for competent directors in the past.
Well,
are you talking about Amandla? She did Hunger Games.
Yeah, and she was in didn't she do one of these sitcoms for Disney?
So Retro and Jonas, you both have lifted the score for this. We're gonna, because we've got the average here. You two have come in and helped out a little bit. You've lifted up. Marvin definitely pulled it down. The final score.
I'm doing the Lord's work.
Well said, Marvin. 2 out of 10 is our score with everybody combined for the Acolyte Episode 4 official review score, folks. That's it for 2 out of 10. Now we're going to get to the interesting part, and that is, folks, that from here on out, we are going to see episodes that the media was not allowed to see. One has to wonder what it is that caused Disney to say, let's only show the media the first half. Because typically the way this works is in an 8-episode season, they'll show the first 6 and hold the last 2. They want to give the media as much as they can without revealing the finale. In this case, they gave them the first half. That tends to make me think that they must not be confident in the latter half of this season. We will see how that goes.
I don't think we've seen anything in the trailers past this point either. I think that we
saw the light whip. The light whip's the
the light whip. The light whip.
There's the light whip, and then there's a lightsaber through the woods that we'll see probably next episode.
Yeah. And folks, we've come to the end yet again. Have mercy, folks. Have mercy. How much more can we take of this? I don't know. But you all eat it up. I mean, we got to do it for you, so you don't have to. And mercy, you all enjoy watching us take a root canal every Tuesday evening. My gosh. All right, well, that's it for us. Folks, like, share, subscribe, click it, stick it to the algorithms, hit the notification bell. Thank you so much for your tremendous support of Vacation Radio. Check it out at Vacation Radio right here on YouTube. And give a good listen to fun, sunny music all the time, all original. You'll have a great time over there. Folks, wherever you are and whatever you're doing, keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.